wanted to have just a quick conversation about this year, 2026, as we will and we intend to communicate in the groups that we've been doing in a more private manner. However, this communication is for, let's say, the general public. Mm-hmm. And you might say, oh, why, Cassandra, don't you do this more on the internet? You know what we mean on these?
YouTube.
Yes. And we would say this to you. There are many voices talking to you at this moment. Too many voices. The most important thing for you to do is to go within, to listen to your own voice, to find out what is the timbre of that voice, what is the frequency of the voice, what is the feeling of that voice. And that's why we ask our daughter to do the meditations, to do the meditation groups, these challenges that you have been doing, precisely for that reason. Because at this moment you have so many imprinting your brains, your consciousness, that it would be perhaps not ethical of us to do the same. So if you choose, because you have a calling, to hear what we have to say on these private channelings, that's fantastic. You've chosen it. And you might say, but yes, I choose also to listen to these other people when I press the button on these platforms. Do you actually choose it, or has it been presented to you? Is there a reason that some are not ignored and not put in the background and not pushed forward? And why are those pushed forward? You have to ask this question. Why is this coming up all the time? Are they trying to imprint your brain with something? We've heard some very ridiculous things. We'll give you an example. And our daughter spoke about it this morning at the beginning of the meditation, and that's the law of karma and how that has been misdirected to billions of individuals on the planet to shut down their compassion and their heart. Oh, it's their karma. What did you do to create this terrible situation for yourself? What do you have to perhaps you're balancing some karma. So that those people listening to it don't need to offer any assistance. They can justify their lack of compassion with that concept. And this is going to be playing out. It's already playing out for you. There are people vying for your compassion in a completely different way. Everyone holds the imprint of compassion. You all hold the positive imprints. It's how it's directed. So suddenly you have people having compassion for those that are terrorizing children in different ways. Oh, we have to line the streets and say they have a right not to be jailed because it's just a preference. Well, how ridiculous is that? Right? And then saying, well, maybe it was the child's karma to have that situation, to be born into this lifetime to have this situation. We're tired of hearing this. And those that are coming from a, let's say, beyond the mental plane of existence, are horrified at this moment that so much of this mind surgery has been going on, playing with your minds, imprinting you with the fact that, oh, don't worry about that child, it's just their karma. So don't have compassion for the child, have compassion for the perpetrator. How ridiculous. And if you actually saw how deeply that is ingrained, you would be horrified. We understand that those listening to this would agree with us. And we also understand that what we are saying right now will not be promoted at all. But we are doing the courtesy of placing this on this, platform, so that you are aware that you are being manipulated. And if you want to choose to listen to us, you will do so of your free will. And that's partly why our daughter is also not doing these, videos and things, because she is learning to go within, to not be influenced by the external. And in that learning, we've been in her life for many years, but even in that learning, she is also horrified at what her brain has been instructed to concentrate on, to believe in. So one could say dark night of the soul with regards to removing oneself from the matrix of the mind. And we've said over and over, go out of the metaverse and into the universe. You have all been conditioned to scroll down, all of this, to entertain yourselves, because clearly your minds are not creative enough to make something for your own self. So you're looking outside of yourself to find the creative inspiration. So we're asking you to gently have a detox, right? To detox yourself from this scrolling, from this imprinting. Because, as you move into 5D, the way in which you manifest is changing. And many of you are realizing this. I feel stuck. I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I have no inspiration. Everything's shut down. Nothing's working for me anymore. That's because you're trying to do it with your mind in an old-fashioned way. You have been begging, calling for, intending for 5D, yet you continue to operate in 3. It's interesting. So we would ask, as we said, if you really want to know, then come to these private situations. And we will discuss it with you. We will answer your questions and we will discuss it with you in a calm, precise manner. Don't allow yourselves to get scattered with all the information. It's an information war, it's a spiritual war. And it's designed to take you out of yourself. And if you look around, people are out of their mind, crazy, which means they're out of themselves. They don't know what to think. They don't know what to do. They have no common sense. They're mindless. We'd ask you this: how many of you remember phone numbers of someone else? Literally remember the phone number. You might remember your own, but how many other phone numbers do you remember? And if you go back 20, 30 years, people remembered multiple phone numbers, addresses, all sorts of things you remembered. Why? Because you were using your brain. You remembered how to drive somewhere. You remembered someone's phone number. You remembered a person's address without having to Google it. So if you can take possession of your brain, train it a little bit. It's not so difficult. Take a phone number a week. We tell you, even that will be difficult for some, to memorize one phone number per week. Then at the beginning of the next week, remember the phone number that you already remembered and add another one. Then remember the two that you remembered and add another one. See what you can do. But no, you get lazy. You don't want to do it. It's easy for me. I've got technology. Why would I do it if I have technology? We'll tell you why. Because whilst you can't remember the simple thing as a phone number, an address, or how to get somewhere, you're relinquishing the power of your mind to a system that is not organically in harmony with you. So in other words, you're giving up your mind. You're relinquishing your identity. And you are beginning to manifest precisely what dark forces want you to. And we are putting this very simply. There are those that would put it in a more nasty, pragmatic way than we have, more scientific evidence, etc. But we don't speak like that because we come from the blue council, which means the council that heals souls. We want you to be in possession of your soul, and the key to that is partly through your mind and partly through your emotions. So hence the reason we're saying this. We are not a scientist. We never have been in any lifetime. Or a geneticist, or anything like that. We're not financiers. What's going on is a spiritual war. It's possession of your soul, and your mind is the doorway to get it. And if you look at the movie The Matrix, if you look at the first one, you will see that that is a prediction. It's not what's happening currently. Yes, you are in different matrices to certain degrees. You're in different realities, living in different realities, right? So in one country, there could be war, but in another there is peace. In one there is poverty, another there is drought, and so on. But what does the darkness want? When it takes over one country and causes disconnection through pain and fear and suffering, it wants to drive it to the other countries. So it imports those individuals to other countries to create the same. And you still live currently in a four-dimensional reality, physical dimensional reality, right? You're still living in it. Therefore, what you think you create in that reality, right? When you move to the fifth, it's totally different. But because you are being bombarded with your minds, you are continuing to remain in the third and the fourth as a way of creating. And this is what we wish that you would stop. And this may sound a little bit, like a lecture, but you need it. Snap out of it. Get off the machines. Go into nature. Sew, knit, cook, create with your hands, sing, learn an instrument. Anything to do with creativity will at this moment take you into such a realm of peace that what you begin to manifest in your life will be wonderful. But as long as you're scrolling, you'll be in the cage. So now we're going to go to the next subject, okay? This 2026 is, we said some time ago, or when this Mr. Trump first got in, we said he's the great disruptor. We didn't say he's your savior. We did not say he's Jesus Christ incarnate or a time traveler or anything like that. He may be a time traveler, but he's not your savior. You are your savior. What he is the disruptor. What does that mean? He is bringing, his job is to bring everything to the surface so that you can see it and choose a different timeline, a different matrix, a different reality. That's what he's doing. So stop thinking he's your savior and start accepting responsibility yourself, because we tell you, This is the year that everything begins to crumble. The time split that you've all been hearing about, two worlds, all of that happening. This is the year that you make your final decision. What sort of world do you want to live in? Because it's going to get very crazy. For some of you, you will see the darkness in such a way you have never done before. And you are prepared. Use the gift that you have of possessing a clear mind. You know, a while back we spoke about, in these groups, we speak about a lot of things, but we spoke about the paradigm of victim, persecutor, rescuer. It's triangle. Everything happens in a triangle if you haven't already noticed. Why do you think you have pyramids on the dollar? Yeah, these symbols, the Masonic symbols, triangles. Yeah, everything happens in threes. So that triangle has been a prison. And, you know, a lot of self-help books, there's a lot of information out there telling you, you know, you're a victim, you're a rescuer, you're a narcissist, because you're a persecutor. Yeah, the word narcissist gets valied around a lot. And the latest one is if you have a yellow aura, you're a narcissist. Actually, that's entirely untrue. Yet, people will look at that lovely little video and believe it because it sounds logical. No, actually, it doesn't mean that at all. If you're a narcissist, you will have a grayness about your aura. Yeah, whatever color it is, it will be murky. So that's the truth. You know, that triangle you've been living in for thousands and thousands of years, it belongs to 3D, 4D. And you're moving, when you move into 5D, you move into another triangle. Everything has a triangle, threes. Clarity, compassion, co-creation. That's where you need to be. Clarity of mind. Yeah? So in other words, stop letting other things influence you. Some of you are very smart and you understand that if you've studied the brain at all, hypnotism or psychology or anything like that, coaching, even NLP, you all know that the brain can be imprinted with anything. Do you realize that your brain is being imprinted with everything? So get clarity. Compassion. Stop saying this is karmic, so I've got nothing to do with, not my concern, none of my business, not in my world. Okay? So you may be living in a comfortable situation, very comfortable, very nice, and you could be extremely grateful for it. And we would recommend that you remain grateful for it. And say to yourself every day, thank you for this beautiful home, for this land, for this fresh water, etc. that you have, the food on my table. Thank you, I'm most grateful that this body still functions. Wonderful. But that doesn't mean that you cannot have compassion for someone else. You don't have to go there and rescue them, right? That's not the story. But what you can do is send positive thoughts there. Send love and light there. Sit and be calm there. So, you know, it's like time travel if you want. Send a hologram of yourself if you know how to do that. And if you've been working with us, you will know how to do that. Sit in that space and feel peace. If the person is in front of you, don't rescue them. Oh, here, do this, do that. What would you like to do? How would you like this to be? I don't know. Okay, when you do know, let me know. And if there's anything I can do, I will help you. Compassion. Compassion also means allowing that person to be empowered, empowered enough to ask you. If your mind is clear and your heart is open, you may be standing in line somewhere and get the message, help this person, pay for their groceries, pay their tollway, whatever way it comes. Then we have co-creation. Ooh, that's the hardest one, isn't it? Because when you're a rescuer, you're creating on behalf of others. You're not co-creating with them. You're forcing them. But when you have to suddenly go into co-creation, you have to allow the other person their empowerment, their clarity, their compassion for themselves to know what they want. You have to be able to see their strength and enhance that instead of bashing down their weaknesses. Instead of competing with them, comparing yourself with them, or allowing them to compare themselves with you. Find your strengths, validate them, and use them, and do not go into each other's territory. In other words, if you've got someone who's incredibly creative and you've got another person who's incredibly intellectual, allow the creative person to be freely creative, and the intellectual can sell, support their work, do their paperwork or whatever. You join together. Do the business side of it. But don't, if you're a business side, if you're an intellectual, go into the creative person's thing and say, oh, I think it should be this color. It should be this. It's more appealing. The latest stats say that if you have this color or that color, it's more appealing. It will sell more. How ridiculous. Stop it. And the creative person cannot go into the business person's realm either and start telling them what to do. Find your roles, support each other to do your roles, and co-create together. So you have clarity, compassion, co-creation, instead of victim, persecutor, rescuer. Now, when we say that, feel it. It's completely different realities. That's what you're going into 2026 if you choose. If you don't choose, you'll stay in the other one. And we can tell you, if you stay in the other one, it's not going to be easy. Because everything is going to be amplified this year. So if you're a victim, it's going to be amplified. If you're a rescuer, you're going to get exhausted. If you're a persecutor, it's going to get nasty. So you make the decision. It's not up to anyone else. You have to choose. So when you are going to say something to someone that you know is unpleasant, shut your mouth. Don't say it. If you're going to run and rescue someone and take over because you think they're not capable, stop yourself. Go into compassion and ask them what is it that they want. Don't tell them what they want and what they need. Ask them. That's the difference. You can still help others, but without controlling it. Okay, the next thing, your systems are starting to collapse. They're collapsing at a great speed, cannot hold themselves. What are those systems? We've spoken about it in the groups. Finance, religion, philosophy, education, media, science, medical, political. These are the 5 families or groups that control the planet. They are collapsing. Don't be afraid. because it doesn't mean that if they collapse, there's nothing. Rejoice, because as they're collapsing, new systems with that other triangle of reality are growing. And you cannot draw it to you if you don't resonate at it. So if you would like to learn more about this and you're choosing to do so, then you can, come to these private groups. Because we do not wish to influence anyone's mind. We do not wish to rescue anyone. You are coming into being spiritual adults right now. You're no longer children. So if you want, the God force is asking you to become adults. If you look around, a lot of people are still in the childhood stage, aren't they? I want free this, free that. I want to be admired. I want, to be famous without actually doing anything. So that's childish. Be an adult. Be responsible for yourself. If you have children, then be responsible for those children as well as yourself. And what you think is karma is quite different to the reality. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would just, now it's a very hot topic. You already mentioned Trump and with his attack or extraction of their president, Maduro. What is the bigger picture of him going to Venezuela?
Okay, so in the groups we spoke about these, the situation with the star seeds, right? And we said that they will not intervene. Because on the planet you have free will. But what they can do is influence certain leaders. What did we say? America, Russia, and Africa are the three. There are a leader in each one of those areas that is being influenced and supported by very high level beings to bring about peace on the earth. The mission is this: if this planet cannot come to peace and stop these ridiculous wars, whether it's a war with drugs, trafficking people, killing people, it's terrible. And what did we say? There was such a vibration of despair and pain that went out through the universe that it was heard and felt on the edge of the universe. And there are particular beings that have not been involved in universal politics, if you like. We have to put it in words like that, for eons. They have now got involved. It's why there was a wall of light that began some years ago, just before 2012, actually. And now it's come to your sun. So these beings are influencing those leaders to bring about peace. That man was responsible for so much pain and suffering, but not just in his own country, across the world. The human trafficking of children and women is horrendous. And he was responsible for that.
And his wife, I think.
His entire family. But we can tell you something. You may think that it was perhaps one of his generals that reported him and coordinated, but it wasn't. It was closer to home. So when you think of, let's say, young children maybe coming into their years of adulthood, questioning, every family has a strong light within it that sort of shakes up the karma of that family, the bad deeds of that family, the pain of that family, and the ancestors, right? So there's usually one person, you call it the black sheep. Interesting you call it the black sheep, isn't it? Should really be called the white sheep. But inversion is the game. So, there's always a white sheep in the family that knows from the very first day that they can open their eyes, knows instinctively it's wrong. So, that was the situation. And that's going to help that country, but also the surrounding countries will begin to, it encourages the people to do the same. So it was a good thing, and it was directed by those beings. You notice, okay, let's have a look at this. When these other people were in the head of America, what did they do? What did they do to Saddam Hussein? And they gleefully loved it. They loved it. Right? And they sort of humiliated the situation as well. Now, what did they do with this man? That's the difference.
Big difference.
Huge difference. So perhaps you could look at the man's deeds and not what, the papers are telling you. Yeah? So the thing is that this is also going to go into the Middle East. But it's also happening in England. There's a lot of things, but we won't talk about that right now. So do you have another question?
Well, you mentioned a leader from Africa. Who is that?
We can't tell you.
And okay, then the last thing is, obviously, everyone is still talking about the war in Ukraine. Do you see it ended in this year?
It will. It will end. Look, it will end, but there won't be much gained. A lot lost.
For both sides? Or?
Both sides, yeah. For both sides.
But do you think that Putin achieved something with this war?
Well, he's not standing up against the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And you'd be foolish to think that he is. It's a whole situation of NATO, UN, Europe in general, yeah? And so that's what he's been fighting against. He made an agreement with them that they would not come onto his border, and they did. So he was baited into doing it. Okay? Was his response overactive at times? We're going to say yes. But anyone who goes in and kills either side is overreacting, right? There's been opportunities to settle the situation. They've chosen not to. It's the same with Gaza and Israel. There's more money to be made in war than there is in peace in the paradigm of 3D and 4D. So when you're looking at either one of these particular situations, you're not looking at just those countries. You're looking at the people behind it. And we would graciously say you could look at England and the Vatican if you're looking for companions, let's say, in the situation. I mean, you can look at the Vatican interestingly enough, the wealthiest country, it is a country, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the world, the wealthiest, few blocks. So why is, and they are, what are they operating on behalf of? The poor. So if they're the wealthiest in the world, then why are there still poor people? If they are really coming and doing God's work and miracles of Jesus and everything else, why are people still starving? Why are children going missing? Why are bombs still falling? You could look at that. Most of it is politics and religion, money, yeah? That's what it is. And we said a long time ago, at one point they were all operating separately, remember? Many years ago we said they're all operating separately, but they're going to join together. And when they join together, there's going to be conflict, which is precisely what's happened. Now they're infighting. Who's going to be the supreme leader? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be religion? Is it going to be government? Is it going to be science? Or is it going to be education? Which one leads? They're battling it out. They're not co-creating, they're fighting. And they're using people to fight for them. So grasp that for a moment. These people that are in these wars are being used, influenced. As we said at the beginning of this, their minds, their hearts are being influenced by energy signatures, yeah? Images, frequencies, skull to brain, all of it is being used to influence the landscape. Who has the most power? So they're fighting, but they're using people to fight. We are begging you, stop fighting. You have to be the dominant energy or the authoritative energy in the room, which means you have to take authority of yourself, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your actions, your words, everything. Take authority of yourself and be the strongest vibration in the village, in the building, in the city, in the workplace. Be the strongest vibration. Do not go outside that vibration. That's very difficult to do. But everybody professes at how gifted and talented they are, how amazing they are. Oh, they're so special from God. Well, if you are, then you start proving it. Take authority of yourself. Don't play words. We're not interested in listening to them anymore. And we know we're being a little hard-lined here. But when we began channeling 40 years ago, we were much harder than we have been right now because we understood the stakes. We actually spoke to people in a very straight manner. Stop playing. Start doing. That's silliness. You have to at times. You don't have the leisure of time anymore to be self-indulgent and to be in the fantasy world of your mind saying how wonderful you are when you are not contributing to the whole at all because you are just being in your ego. Ego is edging God out, literally removing God, that vibration, that frequency of your soul from your mind. That's what ego is, edging God out. Stop it. We have individuals that would approach us and we would say, you're in your ego. No, I'm not, because I'm doing this, 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 and this. No, we're telling you, you are operating from your ego, and that's why it's not working. You are operating from control over others, because every single lesson you have ever learned throughout the centuries is about control and having authority over others rather than taking authority of yourself. And you might say, oh, I'm so undisciplined, I can't do it, Kassandra. It's too difficult, it's too hard. Well, then you'll be in that dimension of victim, persecutor, rescuer. It's up to you. We're not talking about meditating for 5 hours a day and, rigidly inspecting every piece of food that you put in your mouth and everything that you drink. No, that's not actually what it's about. If you want to take authority of yourself, then ask yourself, why am I feeling agitated? You can take 2 minutes to 5 minutes of absolute clarity, and it's worth 10 hours of distorted meditation. It's up to you to choose. You've been taught that in order to train your mind, you have to, be hours and hours. And if you can't do that, there's something wrong with you. Why did they do that to you? Because they wanted to imprint on you that you're not disciplined. You can't achieve it. It's not in your grasp, but you can. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. If you can't do 5 minutes, then there is something seriously wrong. But, of just really centeredness, centered on your breathing, humming, anything, singing, putting yourself in your body, releasing from the outside complexities, taking authority of what you feel. What am I feeling right now? What am I seeing right now? Is this mine, or is it, when you're a rescuer, you're a victim, you're very used to saying it's your fault. When someone insults you, when someone pulls you up, when someone makes you feel bad, it's your fault. This is that whole going back to the thing of, if that child's been horrendously abused, it's their fault because it's their karma. Very inverted. So ask yourself, is this mine or is it theirs? Was I feeling this when I met them? Was I feeling this when I started watching this program? Was I feeling this 10 minutes ago? If not, then it's not yours. It invoked something in you, right? Okay, so what did it invoke in me? Anger, despair, fear. Okay, where is that coming from? Right? Follow the line. You cannot be responsible for what everybody else is feeling and doing and acting and everything else. You can only be responsible for yourself. And unfortunately, the psychology of this world has been dramatically twisted and distorted. So that the beautiful people who are the white sheep never get off their knees, never take authority of themselves. And we're asking you to take authority of yourself. And that may mean distancing yourself for a period of time from certain people or situations until you are strong enough to determine what's yours and what's not, and what you're willing to be responsible for and what you're not. And how are you willing to hold someone else up in their self-responsibility? It's not so difficult. It may sound that way, but it's not. Start to write, start to sing, start to enjoy your life a little bit. Concentrate on something good about yourself and your life. Listen to others. When you hear others and they're saying something you don't like, instead of reacting, go into, that's an interesting opinion. In your head, say to yourself, they're giving me their opinion. is just an opinion. If you don't give it power, it doesn't become a reality. It's just an opinion. So, we feel we've said enough.
I have one more question.
Yeah, okay.
If you feel like.
Yeah, of course.
So it would be about Charlie Kirk assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Can you comment on that? What really happened? What now, a lot of things is coming out with his wife and Israel and I don't know what.
So, if you were asking the question, is he really left the physical body? We're going to say yes. Was it orchestrated? Yes, it was. Does it have ties to nefarious individuals that would like for someone else to take control of all that money and all that influence? We're going to say yes. Was it a public execution in the sense of a ritual? You have someone who was deeply connected to religion, yeah? But to the goodness of the religion. So we would say that he was not rigidly religious in the way that the churches can be, but he was more wholly religious. So he didn't lie on Friday and be forgiven his sins on Sunday. That's what we mean by that. Yeah? So when you think about someone being executed like that in front of such horror and, publicly, well, one could liken it to the situation with Christ, couldn't you? To be publicly murdered, humiliated, murdered, etc., is a way of the dark saying, you see, you have no power here. We could talk about that situation for a very long time. It was a demonstration of power from the other side, mostly. And if you're asking, is that other side, well, where is it coming from? We're going to say the Middle East. We'll say that. Right? And you may think it's just one country, but we're going to say that it's a few countries. You see, you might think that Israel is independent of the Middle East and not working in harmony, is at war with them, but we're going to tell you that they're not. It's all planned. As we said, certain fractions are fighting against others now for supremacy. And that was just a sort of, well, we can get rid of him. We're removing that consciousness from the situation. And you can see that the actions of those around him, we won't give names, have not necessarily been that of compassion.
To me, it seems that his wife was involved.
We cannot say here. But one only has to look at the actions.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's happening on the the planet right now is games,
Mm-hmm.
psychological games, to pit you against each other. That's why we're saying don't go into it. Just say it's their opinion.
Mm.
That doesn't mean you let go of your own beliefs or you don't take some of what they say and investigate it. But more go into your heart and feel, is it right or is it wrong?
Yeah, exactly, because nowadays with information, you can't come to a
can't tell.
conclusion
You cannot tell,
because it's
no.
always both sides completely,
Mhm.
plausible and reasonable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And a lot is backed by scientific evidence that has been paid for, bought for, altered. Yeah?
Yeah.
The same with your voting. It's all altered. None of it's real.
So yeah, about that, do you think that Trump will be able, with the help of taking over, let's say, Venezuela, prove that his election was stolen?
It's part of it. It's part of it. But he's not going in there to prove that the election was stolen. He's going in there to stop it from being stolen again. And it's not just in America. It's other countries.
Yeah. Heard that, yeah.
So he's doing this. Everything he does is not just for America.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it for a whole region. So what do we say? Africa, Russia, America.
Mm.
Completely different sectors of the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But China is a part, right?
Well, what we're saying is that no one in China or any of those other countries is being heavily influenced by these highly divine beings.
Yeah.
So they are, some are good. You have some world leaders that are good, but they're floundering because they are coming up against huge levels of darkness and corruption.
Mm-hmm.
So the political front is going to get very rough.
And so probably it's also true that Trump will not finish his term.
We mentioned that in these private gatherings. Don't expect him to finish the whole term. Yeah. Publicly.
But
that can change, though, because there are certain, you see, he made not a contract, but a commitment, let's say. So that's why he's moving fast this time.
Mm-hmm.
He's made a commitment for peace. Once that's locked in, he will have the opportunity to live a life of peace, right? Regardless of what else is going on with medicine and everything else, right? He is tired. You can see it. He has never stopped and relaxed in his life, ever. And don't you think that he perhaps has the right to have a few years of relaxing?
Absolutely, if he's able to,
Yeah. So that's part of the deal. But he has to bring that first. So when we say he may not do the full term, he may. He has such an opposition against him. And he also has to set in motion those that will follow him.
Exactly, successors, right?
Yes. And all of this is being done so that you don't have actually universal intervention.
Because now also a big thing is happening in Iran. Do you think that
absolutely
Reza Pahlavi will be able to, so the crown prince will be able to come back?
Look, We could say that he could go back to his country, but would he be the leader of the country? We're going to say no. Because they actually don't want a monarchy either. They want democracy. They would want something, what you would think about England, right?
Yeah.
But can he still claim that he is the prince? Yes, he can. Will he be able to go back? Yes, he will. But will he lead it for extended period of time as their supreme leader? No, he won't. Because, people are thinking, oh, we go back to the past, back to the past. You can't go back to the past in the way it was done. You have to go into a new way, which is a collaboration, co-creation. So he may have the luxury of living back in his country where he loves and in his home where he loves, and he may be able to influence the people who go into supporting him in this collaboration from what he's learned from the Western world, etc. And the connections he's made in the Western world. But that doesn't mean that he's going to lead it for the rest of his life. No. You're going into collaborations. You're not going into, one president, one prime minister, one king or queen or what have you. It's a whole different ball game with politics. As we said, as these families fall down, new ones are rising. And you cannot connect with them unless you're in that other triangle.
And is there anything that you can comment on England and King Charles?
Well, what we can say is that very connected to the Middle East. The Vatican is very connected to the Middle East. And if you think that England wasn't involved in a lot of what's going on, you're very mistaken.
Going on in which?
Middle East.
Oh, yeah.
Gaza, all of it.
Syria, probably.
It's all coming from England. Although, now, okay, and the CIA obviously created a lot of wars as well with propaganda. But unfortunately, England has taken over that, yeah? But England's been involved in a lot of nefarious things in Africa, India, etc. And it's coming to an end. We said there would be we mentioned about what would happen with the Queen, right? So we spoke about that. But now you're looking at Charles. That's a whole different ball game. When the Queen departed, that was the end of the Draconians. When Charles came in, it was the beginning of something else, far worse. And we spoke about that. But when he goes, they will try to, William will try to keep that going, but he won't be able to. And he may choose, because he's in a position to choose, to go towards the light. So he may choose to turn it all around. He will have that opportunity.
Probably this is also connected to, thanks to his mother.
True. Yes. But he has, well, you've noticed that his physicalness has changed, right? The way he looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at people who have been possessed, their physical body, their physical look changes. So what we're saying to you is that William is not all William.
Yeah. And what's with Harry then?
Well, one could say a psychological bomb. If he were to tell the absolute truth, he knows he wouldn't still be walking on 2 legs.
So he knows dark secrets of this monarchy.
Yes, he does. He won't say those. Some of it he remembers, some of it he doesn't, like many victims. So is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we will leave you, and we encourage you to join these private groups, because this is really about your free will, what you want to delve into, and it's your choice. Yeah. We will leave you this day in our love and our light and our truth and our blessings, and we thank you so much for allowing us to share with you and share in your energy. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.